Do you yearn for rest? That peace in your heart, no matter what's going on, but can't seem to receive it? Do you fret in your mind over and over again about problems that are happening, that have happened, that might happen? I think especially during this time, we can all relate to this feeling of unrest. This can even lead us to forgetting who we are and who we're called to be. As a sacred art painter, a missionary, and a dancer, I've seen, though, that beauty has a power. Beauty has a power to pull us out of ourselves and to remind us who we are and who we're called to be. Beauty has a power to bring that rest that we yearn for in our hearts. How does it do that? Well, authentic beauty is a reflection of God Himself. And I'm excited because the church sees this. They see this need of ours as human beings. And they desire with the Lord to offer this in our churches. That's why masses, when they're done well, are soaked in beauty, incense, the music, the architectural structure, the painting, stained glass, all of it is to awaken our spirits and to come before the face of God. Dietrich von Hildebrand, in his book Aesthetics, which I highly recommend, awesome book, speaks about how an environment permeated by beauty offers us a real protection against brutality, baseness, all the ugliness of life. And instead of bringing us into this self-centered indulgence, it pulls us out of ourselves, inviting us to transcend and leading us before the face of God. Beauty leads us before God. It brings us to His face. When we encounter beauty, we are brought before the throne of Christ. We don't even realize this. And our church offers that in the Eucharist, in the Mass, in our cathedrals, in our churches. Yes, I know many of the churches have gone through the 70s slump, I would like to say, and need some renovating for sure to come back to the understanding of beauty. But if we look at our church historically, we see that they understand this. When I studied in Florence, Italy, it was very clear that this understanding of beauty and our need for it as humans, to be reminded, to be given hope, is there. Every church I went into was more and more like, oh my word, this is so breathtaking, and it reminded me of what's to come, of heaven. But this is how we have these moments of like, whoa. We don't have words when we encounter beauty, when it pierces our hearts, but that is what's happening. We are being brought before Christ. I'm sure you can think of a time that you encountered beauty, that you felt stopped in your tracks. Maybe it was at a sunset, the birth of a child, an opera, anything. We've each had moments. In fact, the Lord gives us these moments regularly. We're just not always listening. In the movie Shawshank Redemption, which if you haven't seen, you should totally go look it up. Great movie. It speaks of this message very profoundly. There's one moment that I would love to share where Andy, one of the key figures, in a jail, so it's surrounded, or the whole movie is about these inmates, okay? And Andy receives special privileges, even though he's an inmate, to do certain things, like build a library. And he starts to take advantage of these privileges, okay? And one day he decides to actually play an opera on the loudspeaker for all the men to hear. And what happens next is profound. These men are stopped in their tracks. They take their hats off. Some of them even look like they're about to cry. And what they say is, we don't even know what those two Italian women were singing about. But we would like to think it's something so beautiful that it made our hearts sing. It was like we were free again. And the walls fell down around us. Now, they were still in prison. But this opera pierced their heart. Internally, they were free again. That moment of beauty touched their soul. They may not be able to articulate it, but they were brought before the face of God. I've had moments like this in my life, many. I recall a time not too long ago where I was filled with anxiety and fear and guilt from something in the past. I couldn't let it go. My perfectionist self kept drilling it in my head that I had to fix it, and I couldn't. It wasn't for me to fix anymore. I encountered an image of Our Lady of Guadalupe, this stunning masterpiece that was created by the Lord himself when she appeared in Mexico. And I recall being in church. I recall wrestling in my heart and being sad and looking up and seeing her image. And I recall hearing her come to me, feeling her wrap her mantle around me and say, I know what you're going through. I know what happened. I know why you did what you did. And I love you. Christ loves you. And she pulled me ever closer to a womb where Christ was and is, enabling me to find rest, to let go, to surrender, to allow her to be my mother, and to embrace me there, and to bring me closer to Christ. I actually ended up painting something to reflect this encounter that was so transformative in my heart and brought me so much peace. It reminded me that I am still loved, that I am a child of God, that I am his beloved, and that he is mine, and that he can make all things good. This image that you see here is the one that I created. The woman in Mary's arms is actually Eve, where we could all put ourselves in her position. And you see this bitten apple, but a white rose coming from it, that invitation to mercy, showing us that there's hope, that good can come from anything. I'm so grateful that my Catholic faith has taught me to invite Our Lady in, to allow her to walk with me in this journey towards Christ. She's helped me tremendously to know him more, and she's continually doing that. And she, oh my gosh, is the greatest masterpiece that our Lord has created. Of course, Christ, as God himself, is stunning above all. But as human as Our Lady, she is pure beauty, full of grace, in complete union with our Lord, constantly saying yes to him. And thus brings us to him more fully. I'm so grateful that our faith gives us this gift. These moments of beauty, these encounters with the divine, they bring rest and remind us of who we are. You are God's beloved. We are loved by him. And we are called to love. We are called to stay in communion with him. We are called to taste his banquet. That looks different in every season. We can do this even in suffering. He is so real and so good, and he comes to us in these moments of beauty to say these loving truths to us again, to sing us his love song. It's stunning. So no matter your past or your current situation, suffering, struggle, sin, doubt, fear, anxiety, we can know peace and rest right now by being still with our beloved in beauty. I challenge you, go make time for beauty. Go be in the sunset. Read that literature that you've been thinking about, the classics. Listen to an opera. Go for a walk, a beautiful hike. Get that painting that you've been dreaming of and put it in a sacred space in your home. These are all ways to bring fuel to our hearts, to remind us that we are free and that we are with our Lord. These are moments that help us come before the Lord. Also, as Catholics, it's so awesome that we are gifted with the Eucharist, the Blessed Sacrament in adoration and in communion at our Mass. What a gift it is to literally receive the body and blood of Christ, to enter into that union with him. That is a full experience of beauty. And to be able to take advantage of that as much as we can when we're allowed, given the quarantine, I know the certain circumstances, but he's offering himself to us even now in this situation. And that's what our heart yearns for. Contemplating our beloved there brings true rest. And I challenge you also to invite Our Lady into those moments. She can help us to do this much better than we can. She has lived this life prior, and she knows the struggles just as much as the victories, and she brings us ever closer to Christ. And she's just an extra gift, so why not receive that? Now go out, or stay in, whatever is necessary, but be in beauty. Be with our Lord. Open our hearts, open our arms, open our eyes to receive, and recognize that God is with you, and you are so loved and cherished, and your purpose is so great. God bless.